Welcome back. It is still Monday, October 12, 2015. This is still your morning edition on i24News, and thank you for staying with us. We're going to move on to a story that is semi-hopeful. That does happen. Against all odds, the unbelievable story of Professor Rafi Eldor, who uses ballroom dancing as a medicine for Parkinson. Yes, you heard me right. Rafi Eldor, an economics professor and a researcher at the IDC in Herzeliya, was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease a few years ago. Though doctors told him or gave him a few healthy years left to live, he did not give up. Now, how did he not give up? He started using ballroom dancing as a medicine to slow down the disease. I want us to, first of all, take a look at what that means in terms of ballroom dancing, and also let's hear what Rafi had to say as he told it recently at a TED lecture. Let's have a look.
I would like now to be a dancer, I told myself, rather than being a Parkinson's disease patient. So I went to a dance class, and I saw young and old people dancing cha-cha-cha, Latin dance, and I'm trying to follow them. But my feet couldn't be lifted from the ground. I was sort of freezing. And I couldn't follow them. And the guy nearby me, named Uri, told me, Rafi, it would take miles and miles of cha-cha-cha till you'll do it right. Practice is my middle name. I like challenges. So I said to myself, I'm going to be a dancer rather than PD patient.
Well, first of all, we're happy to be joined on the phone by economical finance professor at the IDC, Professor Rafi Eldor. Professor Eldor, I want to thank you for joining us on the phone this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, first of all, sadly we don't have you here in studio with us, but that's okay because your story is remarkable. And I want to ask you to begin with, first of all, how many years ago were you diagnosed with Parkinson's disease?
2008, 7 years ago, I was diagnosed, and I was told that I would have only 5 years to live as I lived before, and afterwards I need nursing.
And afterwards you would need nursing, and then at
so 2 years ago, I supposed to need nursing.
And you clearly are not. Let me ask you this: you get, first of all, you get this, diagnosis, which is a terrible thing to hear, of you have this disease that nobody knows the cure for. What went through your head, and what did you fear, and what sparked you to start dancing?
At first, I had a denial. I was supposed to look as usual. It was not a dramatic change in my look, so I thought nobody's seeing it, and I could do everything, but slowly. So I let it go. But then after 2 years, I started to look for a solution because I felt that the illness, the sickness, the Parkinson is progressing. And I looked for everywhere, and I knew that I need to do some sporting activity. So I chose because I loved dancing, but as a professor, I was shy to dance. And so I started dancing, and I got to the present of dancing because of the Parkinson. Parkinson gave me 2 presents. One, dancing, and the other to help other people now to dance, because I'm establishing new groups of dancing.
And
after I was in the United States, so I did it, but I danced much better than then.
But speaking of the dancing, I just want to touch on what it had, the effect that it had on you, not just, I would say spiritually, but also physically. You were diagnosed, as you said, several years ago, it's approximately 7. You were given 5 years to be in a condition before you get into assisted living, so to speak. What are the parameters of your disease now?
At the parameter, because I'm taking medicine as I was supposed to for the last 3 or 4 years, the same medicine, I have no problems in doing everything that I'm supposed to do.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I'm much stronger than I was before because I'm trained now. All my physical conditions are much better, and the cognitive conditions are as well, because the dancing also stimulates your brain.
Right.
So it's as good as I was before. I'm teaching, and last semester I got the excellence for teaching.
You got the excellence of teaching, which that was my next question. If you still teach, which is the most important thing.
Yes, I do. I do the same job as I've done before.
I want to say, if you can listen to us, we have in studio also the head of the neurology department at Wolfson Hospital, Professor Yair Lempel. Professor Lempel, I want to thank you also for being here with us.
Thank you.
This is a remarkable story, and I want to ask you, because Parkinson's, and for the sake of full disclosure, my father-in-law has the same disease. It's a very hard disease. My father-in-law is also a professor, and he doesn't teach anymore, sadly. But when it comes to, let's start with this. When it comes to modern medicine, where is modern medicine in terms of Parkinson's, and dare I even ask, trying to beat it, or can I just say in terms of just trying to reduce the symptoms? Where are we in that space?
There are two things that we have to speak about. First of all, when I speak according to what the professor said, it is quite logic that physical activity improve this disease. It is a normal thing that we are asking, not that we are asking, they are asking very principally to make physical activity, to, let's say, physiotherapy, to go at least 20 to 40 minutes a day. It's not only because of the activity itself, but with the activity, the reservoir of the dopamine in the brain, what is responsible for the movement, what the lack of it is responsible for the disease, can be more activity. It's going into the blood much easier. The other thing in the dancing is what we are calling ruling movement. And the ruling movement is the main movement that we need in Parkinson. We don't need a movement of the muscle itself, because there is not a weakness, but the movement to right and left, the ruling one, is very important. Now, sorry.
No, definitely. The movement, the medication, movement and physical movement, does it help reduce the escalation of the disease? And when it comes to research about Parkinson's, are we anywhere near finding, because it's things like Parkinson's, I think, and Alzheimer's, that much like cancer, baffle, or even sometimes more than cancer, baffle the medical community in terms of how to even combat it.
Of course. I will speak for 1 second about another degenerative disease. For example, when I am speaking about Alzheimer's, we know that music, and especially, there was a lot of studies, especially music of folk music.
Really?
And one is folk, the second one is Mozart, and at least half Bach are make improvement of the situation.
Wow. Yeah.
So that it's also logic that in the point of view of the musing with a degenerative disease is good. But it is not a situation that we can say that it stopped it, because it's an ongoing degenerative disease. And the ongoing degenerative disease is in connection with some let's say, degenerative process, what we are calling today apoptosis, we are calling necrosis, all of this in the cells itself. And we don't know yet what to do with it, how to help. There's a lot of studies, but we cannot say that we can stop it. And in such a case, what the professor said, it's very important, is the thing that each of us, in case that he has Parkinson, has an individual, for him himself, the natural history of the disease. So it's very important not to hold the hand up and to say nothing. It might be that in such a patient like the professor, the natural history is at the beginning, and the physical movement can help. I cannot promise to that everybody will say, and it will be forever. Sorry.
Right. And the professor still with us on Rafi, Professor Eldor still with us on the phone. No, and I want to say that when it comes to you, and if you had a chance to hear Professor Lempel speak, when it comes to you, I think it's a remarkable. It really takes a strong person to try and find solutions for himself. What is your hope for the near future?
I hope that I would dance until the cure to stop the sickness, to stop Parkinson, would find. As a matter of fact, I was lately checked in Mount Sinai Hospital, and the two things that were suggested to me. One is that I could, in case that I needed, to have a deep brain surgery.
Right.
It's DBS, it's called. And the second is since I performed so well because I'm dancing, they asked me whether or not I have a Parkinson or Parkinsonian disease because I was excellent in the parameter physical exams.
Right.
So I feel now much better than I felt before, and I think that I could. I hope, and I think, even though that I'm a scientist, I think that my brain has developed some areas, some synapses that were not developed before, and I feel much better today than a year or two before. And physical parameters stay the same.
Professor Eldor, I wish for you that you keep on dancing for many, many, many more years. I want to thank you for joining us, and also Professor Lempel, you're staying in studio with us as we move along.